right, we'll call this meeting to order, and we will begin by standing and reciting the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Bill, call roll.
Mr. Cashin.
Here.
Last time out for the last time. Mrs. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Travers. Here. Mr. Trainer.
Here.
And Mr. Whitehouse.
Here.
All right, first thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda for this evening. Any adjustments to talk about?
Yes, on page 4, we have an addition down there of reports of the treasurer. And then on page 10, additions and subtraction there. And then on page 12, there is a professional. And that's it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Cashin.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travers.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
And Mr. Whitehouse.
Yes.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the November 16th, 2021 regular board meeting and the December 6th, 2021 special board meeting. Draft copies of both were sent out, and there have not been any changes since.
Motion approved. Second.
Mr. Cashin.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travers.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
And Mr. Whitehouse. Yes.
All right. Late entry, hi Melissa. Mike, you got any recognitions that you want to make?
Yeah, I just want to, last Thursday, we provided lunch for the staff, and I just want to thank GAC, Athletic Boosters, and Music Boosters for contributing to offset the cost of that. So I just want to thank them for their contributions to that event last Thursday.
Our administrative staff, we're present here, let me see here. Down, we got Cody. You want to pick up the ball there?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot.
Okay.
Nothing too new. We have some testing we're going back to in January. No new testing. There are extended learning's going. There's some areas we're going to look at hopefully improving, and we're going to get our elementary going here soon. So we're starting in January. So I know that we're pretty excited about that. But not a whole lot.
Dave, you got anything?
Just a positive note, we took 10 high schoolers over to the elementary school today and visited and read some Christmas stories and sang some songs and played some games, and it was an outstanding experience, I think, for all involved. So we had a good day over there.
Excellent. Excellent. With the seniors, I assume that?
No, it was actually a good mix of kids. I think 7 football players and 4 female athletes, and just a different range of grades.
Nice. Mr. High School Principal?
Yeah, just I don't know. There's always a lot going on, but just kudos to our staff. Just they step up when we have people out. I know that it's happening every single building. We've had a lot of staff out from time to time, and teachers have stepped up to fill in. And I know it's not been a popular or fun thing to do, but they've done a good job of picking up the slack when we don't have the subs to cover for classes. So I know all the building principals are very appreciative of that, myself included. We just, just moving along, and it's December already, and I know we were wondering what the year would bring, but everybody's just done a really good job of handling things and working through things you know, at the high school specifically, we are working on coming up with a plan to continue to deal with our kids and help our kids out if they're struggling. Just trying to put something in place that's gonna make sense for everybody and that's gonna,
In
it's gonna work
regards
for kids.
to,
Just kids that are struggling with grades, you know, our staff is good at paying attention and taking care, you know, try to take care of it. We're looking at something that reaches out building wide and then out into the, you know, including the parents and the community where possible. So we're just continuing to grow in those areas and provide services for our kids. So.
Is it safe to assume that no news is good news in response to that TikTok thing that happened?
Yeah, no news is good news. We had about 30, in district-wide, we had about 35% out as an average. High school probably had about 35 to 40% out. So yeah, it's just one of those things where you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. You know, I hated putting that message out there because, and one part of me, because I knew that there was going to be, you know, there was going to be some of that where people would come to school. But also know that, you know, you also have to be prepared and you also have to be cautious about those things because the current climate, you never know. But it was, yes, thankfully, all was quiet.
I didn't hear much reaction about that even around. Was there anything, any manifestation of that actually, or was it, I didn't see anything that,
It started
it
in,
almost seemed like it was a little bit of a
well, I think it was probably blown out.
rattling of
It was-
cages.
Yeah, I think it was blown out of proportion. It started in Arizona, my understanding, and, you know, social media doesn't take much to start a wildfire. So I don't know that it was attributed to any one source. I think TikTok said they denied that ever was the root of it, that they were the root of it. They said that their algorithms and their programs didn't pick up anything along those lines. So I don't know what the reality was, but it was out there. It was out there.
Certainly proliferated anyway.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know there's been like 9 charges in the state of Michigan though, of threats causing school closures since the shooting. So, and they've charged nine kids basically across the state of Michigan already.
I get my only comment about that is that, you know, that it's so tragic that we even think about it, but just to continue, you know, it's like one of those see something, say something, you know, I think back then, 9/11, you know, the days after that, and just making sure that people are still, you know, aware and paying attention, and any indication like that, you have to respond. So you had, as much as you may have hated doing so, you know, you have to react in some fashion, and at least everybody's on, you know, alert and pay attention, but it's a shame. What else we got? Holly, you got anything for us?
Not publicly. I would like to talk about the RIF list, but since that pertains to employment, I would like to go into executive session with you after the meeting, to talk about that.
Okay. Anything from the public? Anybody that's present tonight that would like to make a comment?
I would actually, so I
Okay.
think we've talked about this with some of you guys already, but I kind of just wanted it in public record. So as you probably know, the FFA has quite a few members this year. I think we're up to 150, and we're at 1 teacher, and I just kind of want to make sure that we have something in the plans, or we're looking into it at least, to be able to get a second teacher for the next school year, to be able to support all those kids.
It
So
was a topic last night in the finance
Perfect.
meeting, so.
just wanted to make sure that's on.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a lot of kids and they're doing great things, but it's hard for 1 teacher. They have a meeting and over half the kids show up, 75 kids. Trying to keep everything going, so I just want to make sure we have that.
That's good news.
That's all.
Get kids participating, and, you know, that's a good thing.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, that's right. Figure out a way to solve it, right?
Yep.
Right. Anybody else? Anything online, Tom? Anybody? Oh, nothing. You good? Yeah.
Yeah, if I could, just wanted to, I guess maybe piggyback off of, I know Holly at the last board meeting spoke up, and I had a chance to kind of watch that online, just speaking to just teacher stress, burnout, retention, sustainability of what we're doing right now, and just the amount of needs that our students are coming to us with this year, and kind of just, I feel like maybe a little bit of a struggle to meet those needs just with maybe our current setup and situation. You know, last year we had Mondays, you know, for the virtual learning day to plan and reach these students, when we've had exponentially more quarantines and absences this year, you know, without that extra time, and it's just been a struggle, and I see it on the face of every single person I work with, and these are amazing professionals, and you can't open social media without seeing teachers leaving and not being able to get teachers, and I'm just really, really concerned, about what next year and the year after and the year after is going to look like. Worry about even some of the teachers that I've worked alongside with for years even making it to the end of this year. And, you know, I guess just wanting it to be on record, I just felt a little dismissed at the last board meeting. If I can be frank and honest with some of the comments that were made about just putting your head down and grinding it out, and, you know, we can get anybody to try, but it's about the do. Those comments felt pretty dismissive, and I just know that I felt very hurt by that and felt pretty unsupported, and just wanted to get that out there.
Understood. And it's a,
Because we're doing amazing things, and like I said, it felt very dismissive.
well, it certainly wasn't intended that way. I know from this board it wasn't intended that way. I apologize if it felt that way. We're up against it, as are you, and we have nothing but the utmost respect for what you're doing. No question about that. We know what you're up against. We get regular reports. We talk about it every meeting, every time we're together. And we love you. We love what you're doing. We know we got an amazing staff. And it's true. We do. But it's a tough spot. And if anything, any commentary or any attitude or anything like that appeared to be dismissive, I apologize for that. It certainly is not. It's more of a reaction to the realities that we're facing in terms of long-term funding of the district and getting the district on better footing financially and be able to really support you the way we want to with limited resources. We're driving every well we can drill, we can, you know, that we can try and find ways to do that. And so, point taken, I hear you, I hear all of you, and even those who aren't here. Comments from anybody else?
I mean, listening to what Denise is saying, I mean, it's something, she's not asking for anything monetary, she's asking for planning days. I mean, you're speaking obviously on behalf of a lot of
Time.
teachers.
We took a freeze. We're not asking for money. We're asking for the time we need to meet the increased needs that our students are coming to school with. And there are those needs. I mean,
I think as a board, we also need to address, you know, comments from Mrs. Lucas about mental health of our teachers too. I mean, it's kind of disheartening to hear we're not, you know, people that may not finish the year out. That's sad. So, I mean, that's something I think is important for us to address as well. Whether we believe it or not, it's real and it's out there, so.
It's not a question of whether we believe it or not.
I'm just saying.
It's not a question of whether this board believes it.
I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying, but I want you to
There are
know
things
this,
that
we
we just need to
we
address.
are well aware
So we need to do something. with
But I
it.
feel like we spent, you know, I mean, if I can just, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to monopolize the meeting here, but there was,
Feel free.
it just seemed like there was more conversation last time about how we vet subs in the district than what, you know, our people, teachers needed, you know, in that conversation. I mean, it was 20-some minutes and about how we vet subs through Red Hill or, I don't know, it just, like I said, points made, it felt very dismissive.
Jen, comment?
I think my biggest frustration is legislation was passed that was designed to help with all of this, which is the ESSER's spending. That's what that's there for, is to figure out all of this, what your stresses are, what you're going through. And our financial position in this district is, I mean, we're keeping the lights on with that. I mean, that's really what we're doing. And that's not what it's intended to do. It's intended to help kids struggling. It's intended to, you know, I've been reading a lot on how it's being spent across the nation, and districts that don't have financial problems are building athletic facilities and just crazy things. We have districts close to us that are sitting on $9 million of it and don't know what to do with it. And it's just so frustrating for me on this board, because I really feel helpless constantly, because I know the need that you all are discussing and have, and the solutions are additional staffing. The solutions are additional aides. The solutions, there are solutions that other districts are using all the way around us. And it is just, it's so frustrating to sit here and not be able to react strategically, because I just don't feel like.
And I hope that maybe there'd be some creativity into that too, that would involve, you know, the extra staff, which would be great, and we need it, because we can't, I mean, we're about as bare bones as they get when it comes to staffing, but just some creativity with virtual days or that planning time. I mean, like I said, that Monday that was in place last year was there, and it was needed, and it was a good move for what we thought we were going to be up against. But what we thought we were going to be up against last year is what we are up against this year.
Yeah.
And we don't have that.
It's funny, hindsight's 2020, we probably could have been way more normal throughout last year and maybe switch some of those changes, yeah.
Historically, Genoa hasn't always had money. We're not asking for money. It's the appreciation and support your staff deserves. It's time off, do a 2-hour delay, every once in a while. The other one that we had PD, it was already organized. Why not just 2 hours, just to say, okay, get yourself together, have it once a month, you deserve this. It's not the money.
You need this.
I have been here 35 years. I just want to share with you that when I came in, there wasn't any money, but there was appreciation of maybe, just for example, a turkey at Thanksgiving, a gift card to Miller's, just little things that said, we appreciate you. As board members, you haven't been in our buildings, you haven't seen us, you don't know what we're going through. We're trying to share that with you. Without you coming to see how hard it is. And it's not monetary. It's appreciation and support that you could give time. Time is important to all of us to get things ready for our students. You want the best for kids, you have to have the best prepared teachers.
No question. And that, I hope you're expressing that to your administration. Your administrator, our role in that is we take what is presented to us and respond, I mean, that.
I'm presenting
I'm
it.
open to, right?
I'm presenting
I understand.
And I would love to make
I'm talking
you a
about on a
list.
day-to-day basis. I appreciate the fact that.
But I would love to
you're
make
making
you a
us aware.
list to just say, you know what? This would just make us get through a day. You know, just a week, a month, something. It's trying on all of us. And I see it, and I feel bad for my younger staff. Because I love my job. Within the last couple of years, it's been tough, but I've been here 35 years. I work with people that have been here 10 years and they hate their job. That's awful. And we could do better as a community, as a board, as a superintendent, as administrators, just showing appreciation other than sending us an email saying, we think you're great. Anything other than just, we think you're great.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Want to share anything? So we'll take those comments under advisement as we discuss later, I'm sure. We'll move to the treasurer reports with Mr. Knapp.
Okay, actual compared to budget for the month of November. Revenue section is not a lot to talk about. Everything's pretty much moving in the direction I believe it would. Other than the other line, we did have a fiscal year 21 adjustment by Ohio Department of Education. We received a little over $9,000 for open enrollment, excess costs from other open enrolled students coming in for special ed or court play students. So that gave a little bit of a positive variance for this month. Look back a little bit, I looked at fees and pay to participate. We're actually about $15,000 ahead of the historical, what we usually get at this time of the year. I think that that's going to clean out and kind of come to probably close to what it usually is by the end of the fiscal year. But that's what's driving a little bit of that line too. And also, I talked to you about this before, preschool. We had some preschoolers, parents pay for the whole year, and I didn't have that budgeted that way, so that's skewing things a little bit. Overall, like I said, after 5 months of the year, almost half a year, revenue section, just $33,000 difference than budget, so it's pretty well close to where we thought it'd be. Expenditure-wise, we did have a couple of our line items that are usually positive. Actually, we're negative, so there's a little bit of adjustments year to date. Purchase services, materials and supplies, both had unfavorable budgets this month. However, they still continue to be favorable for the year, but there was some adjustments there. A little bit of timing. I always bring this up, you know, we do have shared services with Woodmore. We finally got that third of the bill actually in December, so you're going to see a little bit more adjusting go on in December for next month. With those couple adjustments in the purchase services line, materials supplies line, the whole total expenditures for the month was negative, negative variance. But overall, still $133,000 to the good. Cash balance, $166,000, better than what I had budgeted at this point. We're trending, you know, the 22 budgets, you know, $360,000 in deficit. We're trending about $270,000 at this point. I think that's going to change a little bit, like I said, with Woodmore's billing next month. But that's kind of where we're at this point. So a little bit better than what we had suspected after 5 months. But of course, I would want to obviously get rid of the full deficit, but at least we have a little bit of that going away. So, any questions, month of November or fiscal year? Continue to move forward. All right, I have a few actual items for potential approval. The first item is a final forms agreement. And this is basically, it's online services, it's forms for athletics, forms for academics. Just to give you an idea of what the athletic forms would be online, Matt Robinson said that they would use final forms to conduct their physical forms, their concussion forms and protocols, COVID release forms, drug testing consent forms, all that we take care of today in paper form. Basically, it would all be online. Basically, you would be able to be filed and completed in that. If you need them to look back, easily be able to look back on all that stuff. That's on the athletic side. Academically, we would use final forms for kindergarten screening, kindergarten registration, preschool registration. I have sign off on handbooks, technology agreements, fee waivers, free and reduced lunch forms, health forms, transportation, and anything and everything. Right now, all these are just paper forms. I think the district does a decent job for this, but this would just make things a lot more efficient and effective going forward. What we're trying to accomplish initially would be doing the athletic services or athletic forms first, and then trying to encompass and incorporate kindergarten screening and so forth as we move along throughout this year.
How quickly could we do the free and reduced lunch?
I don't know of the total aspect of timing yet. I do know that what we have talked about with the athletics could be incorporated by the end of January. And also the kindergarten registration screening aspect could be put into place in order to be used this year. We would have to look into that. I wouldn't think it would be, if it's something that Final Forms already does for another district, which they utilize and work with multiple districts. It could be as quickly as we can turn it on. You know, as quickly as we start using things. I'm not sure though.
If you could check on that one specifically because of the
I know that's
impact
one
on
thing that we hope to
federal
do.
funds, yeah.
So, initially, this would be a one-year agreement with the option to opt out. After that one-year agreement, 30 days within, we have to opt out. It's basically a one-year agreement. Any questions, comments? I know Mike's been in part of these meetings too.
So what do you think it costs us a year now doing it the way we do it?
This is gonna sound crazy coming from a treasurer, but I don't think it costs as much. This is not a cost savings aspect. It's an efficiency and effectiveness aspect. You know, it's gonna be about $6,000 a year to do this. However, kind of what Jeff is saying, there are potential aspects of utilizing final forms that can get us to the potential break even or even a return on investment, i.e. the free and reduced lunch forms. If we can increase that even a few percentage points, this cost goes out the door and we're ahead.
Right.
That is not necessarily, and this is going to sound a little bit crazy, our primary focal point is to become more efficient and more effective with some of the stuff we do. Secondarily, maybe 1A, I should say, is the financial aspects, which we think could potentially happen.
Question I have is maybe a question for Mr. Baker. Given the nature of the data that will be collected with this company, and we looked into their security protocols in terms of being able to get data, what kind of firewalls they have to protect the data. That obviously there's a lot of personal data that will be. Have we explored that at all? I'm sure they have protocols, but the extent of their security is important. for
Sure,
data
yeah,
like
so
that.
all of the data that they collect will integrate with Progress Book, which we utilize through NOACA. And there are several districts that utilize Final Forms through NOACA. So that process I'm comfortable with that already being in place and that the security features are there.
So motion to approve?
If there's no more questions, do you feel comfortable? Yes.
Second.
Mr. Cashin?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes.
Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
And Mr. Ragnow?
Yes.
All right, next item I have, we actually have the educational technology levy that was first passed by the community in 2017. That's up for renewal. My initial recommendation is to put this up for renewal for another 5-year time frame. However, we did talk last night at finance about the option of replacing the levy, which basically means we pass it at $0.5 in 2017, it's worth only about 0.4 of a mil, so it went down 1/10 of a mil. Replacing it and bring it back up to the 0.5 mils, we would secure essentially probably between $13,000 and $15,000 more for that type of levy.
And then it coincides with the millage reduction for the middle school bond and the elementary school bond. And I think you said it was like a,
I just confirmed this.
Okay.
I went back and looked at my emails from the county auditor. The middle school bonds currently, it's at 1.45 mils. Mrs. Whitmer will be taking the middle school bond because of valuation increases. Bonds do not, aren't affected by House Bill 920. It's going actually down to 1.25, so 0.2 of a mil less. The elementary school bonds, currently it's at 1.8 mils, is going down to 1.65 mils. So there's basically 35 basis points and 30.35 mils that the district community will see in savings.
so it'll reduce 0.35, we would
Be
increase
increasing
0.1
0.08.
or 0.08.
0.08, really,
Yeah.
it's actually 0.42 right now. Instead of 0.5.
And that's $70,000 over the course of the 5 years.
It's like I said, anywhere between 10 and 15, maybe a little bit more than that, depending, if we wanted to replace it. If you just want to renew, it just stays the same. You still get the same amount of money that we get now. A little bit on top of that if we have any new construction.
So the current problem we have with House Bill
920.
920 is if we pass a 5 mil levy, and that's in place for 5 years, property values increase, we renew it at 3.9 mils, not 5 mils, because we're not allowed to collect more than we collected other than new construction. So you'll get so if somebody builds a brand new home, you will get taxed for that. But if they improve their home, if the natural value of homes rose 50%, that inflation does not pay us. Thus, we have the inflation of cost, but not the inflation of taxes collected. So by doing a replacement versus a renewal, we can stay at the original 5 mils we passed, but capture the inflation in the values of the homes, basically. So that's why we would do a replacement versus a renewal.
It will say, in the language, it will say replacement, won't say renewal, won't say new, but it will say replacement. So that's basically what that.
And it says what it's replacing. It would say it's replacing.
I would have to look into that, to be quite honest with you, what the full specific language is. I just know it doesn't say renewal, I don't believe, I think it says replacement of a levy.
Okay.
I think that language is going to be important, so we make sure we get a look at that.
I guess like I said, I'm not against the replacements. Before last night, my initial recommendation was just a renewal, which, I fully understand what Jeff says, but that's what we live. You have the revenue stagnant, and expenditures continue to increase. This would be something that was supported by the community, first time on the ballot, first time coming out, it was passed. And so that tells me that the community feels that, yes, technology is very, very important. Not to say that they wouldn't do something different this time, but, for something to pass first time out, that's basically saying something about the levy that we put out for this. So, I mean, it's, any other thoughts on the board, Mike?
So the only other thing I'd say is if the community says replacement's a terrible idea, you guys are nuts, you put it back on the next time up as a
Yeah, this time and then would be November, May, then November, that's what we'd have. Now, if they wouldn't, for some reason, pass, then we would actually lose that levy,
but we just keep putting ourselves in the same position because our renewals have all become worth less and less and less and less
that's,
for the last 40 years.
well, that's House Bill 920.
Right.
That's what House Bill 920 does. It keeps your revenue basically stagnant while expenditures increase. So, any reservations one way or another by anyone on the
I
board?
think we need to do the replacement.
I think it's important we tell the bond story though, and how we market the bond story of the reduction of those bonds. I think that's important, time and wise to do as well.
I think that was a big thing last time. This was on the heels of us refinancing both the elementary and the middle school last time. We saved, it was equivalent, it was actually a little bit over the $500,000 that we asked for. We just asked for $500,000 to get this started. Now, I mean, 4 or 5 years later, we do have K-12, 1-to-1. There's been other things purchased with it, with that revenue coming in. I think it's been a great thing for the district. Having my kids go through here at that time in high school, I thought it was good.
Do you think what do your costs look like over the last 5 years for devices?
They're increasing, obviously. I try to stay at the same price point when we go to review. The biggest chunk of it is just to purchase the bulk of the Chromebooks that are replaced each year. We've had the same vendor for the first 3 years, and this year I changed vendors because they kept ticking up their price, so I shopped around and I got it down a little bit. So yeah, their prices are going up. I mean, that's just, we're not gonna get them at $200 forever. They're gonna creep up. So we're about for a fully packaged device to take home for a student, we're at about $260 right now, with the case, the license, and the device.
So, I guess, I will ask for, a motion for the ed tech levy to be replaced for a 5-year period.
So moved.
And that's at 0.5 mil,
That's at 0.5.
and that's what we passed last time.
That is correct.
Second.
Second. Mr. Cashin.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travers.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
And Mr. Redmond.
Yes.
All right, that might have been the easy one. The next one, unfortunately, we've not been successful in passing an operating levy. So I'm bringing that back for the May levy timeframe. This time is a little bit different. I am going to recommend what we did back in 2015 for successful passage, and that was an emergency levy. Instead of what we've been putting up there, we've been putting millage, like 5.25 was last time. This one will be emergency levy, and it will be a specific amount. One thing that I've talked a little bit to the board about is the 20 mil floor. Right now, we're at about a little over 21 mils. We do an emergency levy, it doesn't go towards that 20 mil floor the 5.25 would have. So that's, if there's anything that I'm going to unequivocally recommend tonight is we do an emergency levy. Now, the question mark we had last night at finance was, what is that amount going to look like for that emergency levy? My initial recommendation, and we talked about it last night, was going up with a lesser amount to try to get something passed in order to look at more of a future game plan, basically. We're going into uncharted waters. This will be the 4th levy. We've never had a loss of 3 levies before. So that's kind of my thought process in requesting a lesser amount. The 5.25 mils last time equated to right around $1,040,000. My initial recommendation was going out to maybe like $850,000 levy this time. The unofficial, that would equate to unofficially about 3.9 mils. Now Jeff and Rod and I had a conversation last night that maybe it's just ask what we wanted or what we need. I said not we wanted, what we needed. Last time we lost a year of collection, and we did this last time in 2014-15. We went from 800,000 to $1,025,000 because we lost a year of collection. This time, we would, since we lost a year of collection, that $1,040,000 would be equivalent to 1.367 million, 1,367,000. I would make it 1,350,000, and that's basically the equivalent. If you wanted to continue just as we are and try to pass it that way. I guess the conservative person in me wants to go the 850th route. But I fully understand if the board would want to continue with the higher amount, because that's really what is needed. Any comments from the board on one way or another, your thoughts? I know what, Jeff.
So you go with
You can talk to them.
we go with the lower number, what's that do for us?
Lower number, it doesn't get us out, it probably
2
gets
years
us out
in
to
trouble.
3 years, and then in that time frame, that 3-year time frame, I'm just saying you need to set up whether we go to the 20 mil floor and move inside millage. One of the things that we talked about last night, why this number 5, 6, 7, 8 are on here, do you look to an income tax at some point? Do you look at a combination of income tax and, or whatever the longer term game plan is, it does provide you that time frame to get you out there. And the reality, even if you go with the higher amount, I still think a longer time frame or a longer game plan would be highly recommended and needed. But yeah, I think the larger amount gets you out to the 5+ years that we were hoping. The lesser amount would give you 3+.
I think the large number scares people. We haven't been able to pass levies, there's, obviously, I think going with the lower is the best shot at passing.
I am totally on board for getting what we need, so we don't have to have rough conversations in 3 years. We don't have to, we pass it or we don't pass it. I really think our votes are no and yes, and you have to, the no's are going to be there. It's about, this is the list of voters that did not, registered voters that did not vote in the last election. It's about finding and convincing 200 of these folks to come
Go
out
vote.
and go vote.
Yes.
I don't think 800 or 1.3 million determines, that's just, this is my opinion, and we've failed 3 votes, and I've been on the board the whole time, and you guys put me back on again, thank you very much. It's a really confused situation. They won't vote for the levy, but they voted for me, it just drives me nuts. I don't, we need 1.3 million, we probably need 2 million to run this school properly, and not really have real problems, but that's not gonna happen. So we
why
go,
would we talk about the 1.3?
so if we go
1,040,000, do the 1.3, and
do the 1.3 and
let's go.
pass it. That's what we did in 15. We raised it and passed it. It went up in millage in 2015 because we missed the window of collection.
You really want to come back in 3 years and talk about it?
And the reason we're not, like, our lights are on is because we didn't start spending, we didn't re-spend. Like, a lot of cuts that we made in 15, 14, 15 never really came back. We didn't add a lot of things back in, and that's why we have the money we have in our cash balance. So we've never gone out and overspent on aids, or we've been conservative. The state's not gonna, showing me they're changing anything. The calculations clearly just don't work in our favor with free and reduced lunch. So we're not getting any advantages there. I just think if we need to solve for at least a 4 to 5 year window so that our community can take a breath and we can not talk about levies for a minute. Like we gotta, that's just my opinion. I think we passed this thing, and we still need to do everything you're talking about. We need to reduce our inside millage. So, and this is things other boards are doing that this board hasn't done, because I think part of it is because we think that a voter should pass to increase taxes and those pieces. But the reality is, with the rules they've put in place in Columbus, every time we pass a renewal, it becomes less and less valuable, and inflationary costs, just like Tom talked, it used to cost us $200, now it costs us $260. That does not stop, that continues moving forward. So I think we have to solve it. And to solve it is 1.36, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Love, can we get feedback? Love hearing feedback, anybody.
That was up.
I just have a comment, that's why we're calling it an emergency. I mean, it's an emergency operating levy because we need more than what we've been asking for all along that they've been denying and saying no. So, and.
I think if we ask for less,
Mhm.
there's a risk of the community saying, oh, you never needed it, too.
And-
And that's my, that's
And
one of
that's
my
what it
concerns,
looks
too.
like right now, because we are functioning every day the same as we did when they said no. So it has to be.
Well, we're not, but we're making it look like we are.
Yeah.
That's the big, that's what this community's so good at doing, is making it look
Right.
like we're normal, like, you know,
Yeah.
gosh, we probably shouldn't have resurfaced the track, not because it cost the tax dollar, one tax dollar, it's just PR. I mean, that was,
Yeah.
we should let it fall apart so that it, you know, maybe we don't mow the grass as nice because we needed
Can't
to.
afford the gas.
Yeah. I
And we
mean,
talked about that, and
Yeah.
it's different funds that they don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, there's things that we've done that they said, well, it doesn't look like we need any money. It's because it's different funds that
It's
they don't understand.
because, you know, our fields look nice because there's 8 guys that will do it for pizza.
It's because of all our passion, and that's what it is.
Right.
It's passion that we're here, we keep going along, but replacement, that word sounds good and new, instead of here we go again with a renewal. So replacement and emergency, those 2 words, we've got to fixate on those and find some slogan that just brings it all together, that they have to realize the state will come in, this state will come in and take us over.
We don't want that.
And I think it's key, those voters right there that have not voted, that is a huge piece.
And we've
I've
done,
only
those are-
found, I've only found 3 family members so far.
But
I mean, if you think about it, you look at the ones that have failed, the no votes are always gonna be there.
Yeah,
definitely.
they're not,
That
the no
doesn't
vote's not
change.
going up, the no
We
vote.
have to get the yeses that have their kids here every day, have to go vote if they live in this district, because that's where it wins at.
And those
There
no's,
is
I don't
a-
think, I don't think those no's will turn to yeses if you make it the lower amount.
Correct, agreed.
It's gonna be a no for the.
They're gonna vote no matter what, because you know what? Some a-hole pissed them off at Genoa
Yes.
schools
Oh,
30 years
yes,
ago.
yeah.
I'm always gonna vote no, they don't need any
I
money.
think that the threat of the RIF, and that the reality of the RIF, of employees, of staff, of teachers, of, I mean, that, when you use it, will take hopefully 150 of these folks that didn't vote to come out and vote yes.
I honestly think that if you list every individual one with a name, that will make more of an impact. Putting person with the position.
And I agree with that. We had a cut list, but it wasn't really what is for sure getting cut. I think once you put it in stone and you have to stick to whatever you put in there.
Yeah, and I looked at the 2015 comic communicator bill, he had it in like 3 seconds, it was weird how quick he had that pulled out. What, oh, you got 15, boom, there they are. And that's exactly what's there, it was the exact list of the positions.
I think parents need to understand what a day would look like if the kids didn't have art or music or tech. It would be a lot different than the day that the kids have now in elementary and middle school. And I mean, my kids, sorry kids, are not athletic, so that was their outlet, art. Emma is a wonderful photographer. She makes just about as much money as I do after 25 years. Anna, singing gave her confidence. My son, who has cerebral palsy in tech, he has a wonderful job now, owns his own home. So I think that parents need to understand what that's going to look like if we don't have those outlets.
And maybe not even looking, I mean, you're gonna obviously have to cut positions, but if we did cut those specials, that would shorten the school day. So I think you have to make a good case on, you want your child home at 1 o'clock and you don't get home till 5, you've got 4 hours of childcare.
That you're not paying for.
Huge, huge.
Okay, well, if I hear it properly, you're okay with an emergency operating levy. I'll flip it to 1.35 million.
Yep.
A round number. And does that make sense to?
And that'd be equivalent to what, a 5.9?
Well, I have 1.3 million equals 6 mils.
So I-
5.25 was equal to 6.3 with the additional lost.
I mean, there is some marketing here, so, and I'm the guy that just said 1.3, but if whatever, I wouldn't go over the 5.9
Yeah.
that we were originally asking for. I think if we can go too far.
And I think they need to know that it's gonna hold us out for more than 2 years. You know, that they're not gonna have to come back. Just, you know, get it enough that says, you know, we can operate.
5.99, 1,299,000, so 1.3.
There you go. That's it.
Bill, when we talked last week, you had mentioned how there's a possibility of a property tax and an income tax joint type of a levy. Is that something we would entertain, so everybody feels it versus just the property owners?
This time around, I don't think we have probably enough time to get everything around. That's my next 4 resolution. I'm asking for them to pass a resolution so I can send it down to the Department of Tax and get what the tax rate of 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1% of an earned income tax would provide us. They won't give me any information without these resolutions, so that's the next step. We just don't
So that would be
have,
the next attempt.
So that would be in
Yes.
November.
Gotcha, okay.
that would be, yeah, if we would potentially go to November or a few years down the road.
And I would love to do income because income
You can do
captures inflation. So as incomes rise,
It's
you're-
no House Bill 90.
it goes
And I
up.
know there is some interest from the community about that, about an income versus a property, but I think a combo one, since we're able to run something like that, might kind of be the best of both worlds. But I understand that we have to wait.
Maybe in our future
Okay.
at this point. We are moving away from an actual millage levy to the emergency,
Right.
so we are changing up a little bit.
Just a thought, and I'm sure you guys probably thought of it, but if we went with the lesser amount for May, with the idea of coming back with either an income tax, property tax, however you want to do that again in November. Just, I don't have any idea what that looks like, but would that give us a better chance of levying out?
I think if we,
Could very well be.
I cannot imagine, just from the emails and social media that I get, for me to ask for money, get it passed, and come back within 24 months
Okay.
and ask for more. I just think it's,
It was just a thought.
like, we are,
We can.
and the reality is, this community is taxed at a higher rate. Your $100,000 home in Genoa is taxed, I think it was $600 more than Danbury. Danbury is spending $10,000 more per pupil than we spend. And they spend $600 less per 100,000 in taxes. So, or collect. So it's mind-boggling. So you're paying more here and you actually get less per pupil spent.
And it would even look better if it did pass and we said, so we don't have to hit everybody income-wise, because they freak out with the income part, they'd rather do, you know, the millage. So if it says, well, if this doesn't pass, we're gonna have to consider income tax. I mean, it's just like a
It's,
catch
you know,
22.
some people will make out better on property.
Oh, definitely.
Some people, like, income would be much costly too,
How much rental do we have in Genoa?
a lot.
It's my personal belief, Bill, that the current model is unsustainable long-term. And so I'm inclined to do the smaller amount and really work on the study, evaluate, be able to present a plan to have that hybrid property tax, income tax, funding model going forward. While it may get passed, you're gonna be back, I mean, I think you're at an unprecedented place now and it was a fourth time. The community's speaking pretty clearly. I think the smaller amount allows the time to explore another model. And if that's a hybrid property income tax model, that would help. It's probably more like 3 years, I would think, and if we're out before we'd have to come back again. But that does give the time to do the analysis and do the evaluation, talk to people around the state, around the area that haven't, there are districts in our area that use income tax, and are doing quite well with it. I think it is getting people to understand what that means, because they're always going to stiff arm it at first, but warming up to the idea. But I don't think going back to just making it a property tax thing is sustainable. That's just my personal opinion long term. I think that's what we're feeling. We've hit a wall there a little bit. I would be in favor of this lesser amount and evaluating a new model of funding going forward.
One thing I want to make crystal clear, no matter what we do here tonight, any of this information that we've been talking about, options and so forth, none of it will get us to not be on the ballot going forward. We're always going to be on the ballot going forward unless the state gets their act together someday. So just,
Yeah,
I
no.
want you to hear that
it's
crystal
It's a
clear.
5-6 year,
Crystal clear.
5-6 year cycle.
It's, well, hopefully, if we could get some things in place, maybe an income tax, 20 to 4, that 5 to 6 that you see now could be the 8 to 10, something like that going forward. And maybe even provide an opportunity to improve our setting.
Yeah, and it's my understanding too,
The 20 mil floor, every district around the state has to have 20 mils of district value that the district, that the community pays in, 20 mils. Like our mill here is worth 217,000. So every district has to do 20 mils. Well, like in Danbury, when values of a house go up, millage goes down, the effective millage goes down. So that 20 mils basically goes down to maybe 19 mils. Well, because the school district has to provide 20 mils, or the community has to provide 20 mils, the district auditor, the county auditor, bumps that back up from 19 mils to 20 mils and gives, it's actually an additional non-voted levy. That's basically what it is. From Carver, Fort Clinton, Danbury, all of them are on the floor right now. So every time there's like this valuation increase, we just got a 10% valuation increase across our community. Our millage went from, it probably was at 21.2, now it's probably at 21. Theirs went from 20, where they were, down to maybe 19 or so. Well, it doesn't sound like much. What 1 mil at Danbury is, ours is 217,000. Theirs is probably closing on maybe 700,000. So they're getting 700 additional dollars every year. That's what we're trying to talk about. One levy's 800, could be potentially 850,000.
so their 1 mil is worth our 3.9 mil.
Yeah.
4
We
mils.
have,
I mean, that's the other piece that people don't understand. Like, Lake's building a school and they only asked for 1.2 mils to build a school. Well, that's because their millage is worth 5 times our millage.
I mean, Danbury and Port Clinton are in the top 10 of the state.
Yeah.
And then Oak Harbor's not there, but they're not close to us.
So think of that, their mill is worth more. Their millage is worth more, so when they have that small drop, they're getting huge gains every time. And that's why they simply don't have to put levies on.
Every 3 years at least. And you know what kind of value increases Danbury sees with all the houses that they have in Lakeside, Port Clinton, although Port Port Clinton's a weird one. I mean, they have their trailer courts, but they have multi-million
The
dollar
richest
houses
and poorest
too.
community in the state of Ohio, Portland.
And then, of course, you have Put in Bay. When houses go for extraordinary, they're just bringing in the money. So,
I know
Well,
this is,
go ahead.
I know it's a long shot, but I also think while we're doing all this, we need to be a speaking bill to the state. We need to, I know you are, but I mean,
We are.
I
I'm not
know
sure.
the board is, but I mean the entire community.
Yep.
Some kind of postcard initiative where we're flooding their mailboxes with why something maybe with our kids' cute artwork and something to say,
I want to send them all a calculator.
this doesn't
That's
work
what I
for
want to
us.
send everyone
Sure.
a calculator.
Sure. I mean, this is not working for us and it's working for other people, so they're not gonna complain about the broken system. We're suffering, our kids are suffering, and while we're trying to stay afloat, I think we need to do something to also show the community that, I know you guys are already doing it and petitioning our state reps, but that all of us need to get on board doing that. And I don't know if that starts with the levy committee or how we go about, yeah.
Yeah, things that, you know, that are most effective are voice conversation in any form, face-to-face, public forum, and phone calls, where they have to speak with you, scheduled time to speak. That is the most effective way. A letter, they're easy to stack and throw away, but a conversation is annoying and time-consuming, and that is what the squeaky wheel feels like to a politician. So.
I like your perspective.
As far as the village goes, I agree that we need to go forward with the higher amount just because, I don't know, there's a handful of people here who have been on the committee, the levy committee, every time. And it's just, it wears on you. And you know, it's just that the process is just very deflating. Obviously, when you lose, it's one thing, but just the trolls are out in force when you're dealing with that. People don't want to know. I mean, what you hit on the nail on the head. The no's are the no's. It doesn't matter whatever logic, all this logic we're talking about here, everything that contributes to what we're doing right here, it doesn't matter to them because they have whatever chip on their shoulder or whatever. I mean, some people have legitimate things. So there's some people who just a fixed income. I understand that. They're just struggling to pay their property taxes. I understand those things, but when you're saying no to a community that supported your kids back in the day, I don't get that. And I think that's one of the things that we've struggled with. Somebody else has always supported the kids in this community, the students in this community. And that's what we're asking people to continue to do. So it's very frustrating. It's just something that, you know, I'd rather go back and throw it all in again with the levy committee to try to get this larger number passed than have to do this, continue to have to do this. I mean, yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk, but, you know, I don't know how else people are gonna, we just need to get past this. I don't know. And as far as the, you know, the choice of what, you know, I already said that as far as the money goes. Yeah, we just have to put ourselves in a better place right now. It's tough, you know, what everybody's saying. You know, I think that everything that you guys have talked about tonight is up against the fact that we have to pass a levy. Everything that looks like we're slacking off, or anything that looks like, regardless of what, we know what you do, I know what you do, what you go through, but everything we do right now is up against the fact we have to pass a levy. And, you know, that's the challenging part. As much as, you know, we'd like to make your lives in the classroom more comfortable or bearable or whatever the case may be. That's the challenge right now. So there's school districts out there I know that are using the federal money to give bonuses to their staff. what would that look like? What would that look like? You know, giving you a day, go to a 4-day week? It wouldn't fly. It wouldn't fly. I know you benefit from it, but there's just a whole litany of things that we have to be careful of.
Then do we consider taking the rose-colored glasses off? Because there are so many passionate people in this district that go above and beyond to make it look like we're fine. Do we take the rose-colored glasses off and say, this is what's going to happen if this doesn't pass?
Yeah,
There's no more,
I don't know. I don't have that answer. Like the PR side of me, I don't know. The better we look, I know a lot of the yes votes on this paper that I'm looking at are
They have
the,
to know what it's gonna look like. If they don't know what it's gonna look
Yeah.
like, it's gonna continue the way it has been.
yeah,
So it could be in January, we go to 4 days and say, it could get worse. Your day could be shortened on all 5 days. Because we're not gonna have the specials or the levy's not gonna pass. It's-
I don't know. I don't know the reaction. I have no clue how people react anymore. I've seen some of the weirdest reactions over the last 2.5 years of doing this job.
Were you here when we took transportation away?
Yeah, I was in the
Okay.
district.
Okay, so that was an eye opener, but we have so many parents out there that drop off their kids, so the transportation is in
I
your
don't
work
think it
this
would
time.
bother them now.
It
Yeah.
You
doesn't.
drive by and look at the elementary school, I'm like, every parent but me must start
What
work
about
at 9 o'clock.
Those
They're all gonna
parents
drive
will
home.
argue about
I'll tell you that there's still a lot of kids on those buses.
Oh, there are.
There's
There
a lot
are.
of kids, like, yes, there's a lot that drop them off.
This is
and all that.
Grand Central
But-
Station.
But you gotta realize what's also changed is I don't drive to Detroit every day anymore.
Right.
That was a normal thing in my life. I drove to Detroit every day. My work has changed and it will never look like that again. I will be working in my home 3 to 4 days every week now. So
So if we have a short day, you won't mind if they're home at 1.
going, getting an Ignite coffee and dropping my kid off is
Part of the day.
that's my day. So that's changed across the board. So that's why I think you see more people in the morning,
Okay.
is because their work, that they want to get out of their house for the drive to the school and the coffee.
Good, I want to
because-
shorten the day and put their kids with them.
Right,
at 1 o'clock.
and that,
Oh, you don't like that? Bring your ass to the poll and vote
Yeah.
yes.
That's right.
I think the
if
shorter
we
day
do a
is
2-hour
huge.
If we do a 2-hour delay every once in a while, just to kind of like, sorry, we need this, and we don't have enough subs,
I mean,
just like we
let's
did
be
for the
real, if it
PD.
doesn't inconvenience them,
yeah.
nothing's gonna change.
Exactly, it doesn't
Yeah.
hit them in the
Well,
pocket.
So one of the things we talked about is we want to, pay to participate will go up, but school fees go up, because your kids weren't athletes. It's not, what do you care if pay to play goes up, right? Well, if music fees go up, okay, that I'm in now too. If all fees go up, we're all in. And I think you gotta, you have to do that. We need the money. I hate fees. Fees aren't how public schools should be funded, but this is all, this causation and effect of it all. But I think you have to put it across everybody has to feel. Everybody has to feel it, or what's the point of doing it? It doesn't, it's not going to get the 200 people on this page to come out and do a yes. And I've only looked at maybe 7 pages, and there's names on here, I'm like, floored.
We did that before, and then we
Floored.
sent out postcards, please,
Yeah.
please vote, here's
Yeah.
the registration form,
I was on the-
18-year-olds.
I was on the committee and we called people, and people were like, I voted absentee.
Yes.
Well, it didn't work. I mean, they were livid over it, and
You need a ride.
other people were like,
I'll come pick you up.
I got busy and I didn't make it, and, well, we need you out this time. We've gotta have you out this time, so.
Yeah.
But that's 7 pages, and there's a lot of pages here, and there's at least 15 names on there that I'm like, those are all yes votes. Okay, let's do the next 7 pages, and find another 15 until we get to 200.
And I guess a lot of us have talked from January to May, to make it look like things are okay is not good. If there's gotta be something between January and May, before they go out and vote, other than just a list of what you're going to do. Just needs to be something that just hits
There are
us now.
some limitations, like
Oh, I know.
transportation you can't
You
touch
do
until
because of
next
contracts
year.
and OC be in.
Well, I think once you've given a service, you have to complete the service through the end of the year. So there are
Correct,
certain
so there's
things.
contracts and all that, but days, there's not enough subs. A time factor where your teachers have some mental health in their classrooms. I don't mean you take the day off. We're here, this is our passion. But to give us some time to just rejuvenate every once in a while with all the quarantines, all the missing work, all the absences. We got kids going on vacation after they have Christmas break. So it's just all those things that we have to keep track of and keep the kids going, but get those test scores, do well academically, keep them, on the team. It's just all those things that just keep rolling along, everything's fine.
I think something a little more sustainable, I understand that doing like a full Monday off every week might be difficult, but
Oh, yeah.
a 2-hour delay, where we get 2 hours of prep time to start that week, get our stuff recorded and created for those kids in our home, things like that, which is a little less intrusive to a parent perhaps on a delayed schedule. I don't know.
What about something simple as locking, like we just started since the TikTok thing? Last year, the kids weren't allowed in the building till 7:20. And this year, it kind of got, you get here at 5 to 7 and kids are all over the place. Lock the doors till 7:20 and say, we don't have the staff here, you gotta wait, if you're gonna be dropped off at 7, you have to wait outside the doors. I mean, those are simple things, I think, but that would get the message across that, hey, we don't have teachers in the building to supervise the kids that are running through the building. I don't know what time it would be that you would lock the doors.
Would it
All
be-
the kids have to go out and the doors are locked now. I know that gets tricky with athletics and stuff, so you've gotta,
Would it be possible to do a subcommittee, teachers, staff, maybe have a couple board members do a work session and talk through all the
All
options?
this.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
talk through all the options, get creative, figure out what's possible, what isn't possible, and then put it through the glasses of the levy too. So what helps us with more yes votes, what doesn't,
So like maybe the first week back,
yeah, right away.
several of you, give us some names, whoever. We'll sit down,
Y'all
go through all
volunteered, you came
these.
tonight.
Hey, that's why we're here.
Let's go through all
It
of
needs
it.
to be a team effort. It can't.
Yeah,
it's
just make sure
gotta be
like
a
all
team.
the buildings are represented. My thoughts, but, so we still gotta decide.
Yeah, I've heard.
So what's the best way to do it? Can we vote on one version of it and then,
Okay, go home.
I mean,
is that the?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you gotta put them both out there.
Definitively, you want to just say, hey, this is where we're going.
So you want a motion or what?
Huh?
You want a motion, is that what you want?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can motion both of them. You can,
Do it. That's
you can
better.
pass both of them. You can actually pass both of them and come back in January, then just pass whichever one you feel you need more time. I
So
don't
we could
recommend that.
we could pass both and then,
And then,
because I would love to have more community conversations too. I like the idea of having the option, like, if I talk to 50 people and they're like, absolutely not, do not do 1.3, we should do 800,000, you'll never agree, like, that's not a bad conversation to have. Or,
Just don't vote, just table.
no, I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta have the resolutions done or I'm
you gotta,
So I have to have a resolution so I can send it to
the first resolution that I do want to, would like to make is, I'd like to make a resolution to request the, 0.5%, 3/4% numbers from the state of Ohio. Can I do that?
Yeah,
Well,
it's-
He's got it all
Okay,
right
sorry,
here.
sorry.
Don't
My
check
glasses-
the
my
messenger,
glasses
but
off.
it's one request per, one resolution per request.
That's fine.
So
Okay.
that'll be coming up, but
So I'll make a motion for the 1.35 million.
Second.
Or it was 1.3.
1.3.
1.3.
Which equates to 5.99.
Yep. So the original ask we had.
You will not see 5.99 officially anywhere. It's a dollar amount.
Okay.
That would be our talking.
You know, if someone would ask me, yeah, you equates to 5.99. So, okay, Trainer Traver, Mr. Cashin.
This is for.
This is for the 1.3.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Traver,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Ms. Rechner.
No.
And then you want to do one for 850K.
Yep.
Just need a motion for that.
Motion approved.
Second?
Mr. Cashin.
So both of these resolutions will go down, and then at a later date, we can pick and choose which one is actually going to be.
Yes, I can send multiple to the county auditor, both of them pass, we can send them both,
You have
no
to pass
problem.
it twice.
Then the resolution proceed, if you go to that and say, well, I only want the one and I don't want the other, that's when you'll have to make the decision. And that'll be January 10th.
Okay. Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
No.
Mr. Traver.
No.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes, I will.
And Ms. Rechner.
Yes.
Okay, both of them I will send in. I'll get the resolution that proceeds, and then you can make a final decision on which one at the January 10th meeting. Now, like I said, don't shoot the messenger, but it is one resolution per request. Looking at sending down requests to the Ohio Department of Taxation on an earned income, unless I hear otherwise. If this would be an earned income, 1/4%, 0.5%, 3/4%, 1%.
If we ask for a 1%, could we just divide and know what the amounts are for the?
It is funny, you go back and look at what we did last time, it was a little bit different, but yeah, you could.
I
if
mean,
you don't-
I just don't know that we need to, we could do the half and the 1% and then figure out.
I mean, that's what you want. And just say cut it in half, and if it's quarter. There is some weird things that they do depending on, but yeah, you can do that. So you just want to do a half and a 1?
This is just a resolution, just to give the information.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is correct. Yep,
More information is better. Good. Just get out for it.
Yep, okay.
okay.
Motion for a 1/4%,
Second.
Quarter or half and one?
we're doing
This would
quarter,
be
half.
quarter.
We'll do all four.
All
Sorry.
right, Mr. Cash,
Yes.
I have to say the names. Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travis.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes,
And Mr. Wright.
Yes.
motion for 0.5%.
Second.
Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travis.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes,
And Mr. Wright.
Yes.
motion for 3/4%.
Second.
Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travis.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes,
And Mr. Wright.
Yes.
motion for 1%.
Second.
Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Travis.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
And Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Okay, the only other thing I had, just a reminder that the organizational meeting and the regular meeting in January is January 10th. Organizational meeting starts at 5. Then there's a couple meetings in between, and the regular meeting should start at 6. Just like any others, but that's basically what they are. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Mike, Mr. Superintendent and slash principal, you get your reports.
There we go. All right, number 9, page 9. Need to vote to approve the retirement, or retirement as listed.
Motion to accept.
Second.
I'd just like to say, Tim did an amazing job, and it was a heck of a, too big of a job for one person. And I really think, I know the budget is so tight, I've been on the levy committee, and I know it. But we need more help in the medical side. There's only one nurse here for, 1,200, 1,300 students, all the staff, all their parents. it's a pandemic right now, and I don't know how to come up with that, but I'm just saying, we're gonna have a hard time retaining any nurse.
So, I would, if we can push on the external, contact tracing person, like I would like to remove that from our school nurse. So I think we need to do that immediately, so our school nurse can be a school nurse.
She needs to be a school nurse.
Yes. So whoever that, he or she, can be a school nurse. Or
Any
you can come
comment
back.
from the,
We do.
Online.
This is from Kim Earl, and I've forwarded it to the board members as well as Mike and
Okay.
Bill. I'll read it if you can bear with me. I would like to voice my concern about the school nursing position. I voiced my concerns last week to both admin and board members with only a reply from one board member. This could have been avoided if we could have suspended contract tracing or at least had the Ottawa County Health Department step in and help. The new nurse was very overwhelmed and overloaded on her first week. I voiced concerns when this was happening. I truly think she would have stayed and been a great nurse if we didn't have the issue of contact tracing. What we are asking a new nurse to do all by herself for 3 schools and 1,300 students is unreasonable, and just because I barely managed it doesn't mean it's right. I gave my notice way back September 22nd. I'm sorry to say that poor decisions were made on waiting so long to hire someone, and this could have been avoided if they would have had more time to properly train and be comfortable. 7 days was never going to be enough. Now you have no nurse, and if you have to find one by January, you have no one to train with. I am not an administrator by any means, but I know that some things in the school district are just not functional. Submitted by Kim Earl.
Noted.
I guess I'd like to see what other districts are doing with contact tracing, and see how they're doing it, if they're not doing it. I mean, I know Melissa and I talked to you about some things, and
Danbury is using,
They have a nurse. They have an extra nurse doing it,
yeah, but that's all she does.
yeah.
Is the contract
And they
tracing.
have, what, half the students? Yeah.
So I think that's the solution. And I don't think that needs to be a nurse.
No, it doesn't.
It
You
just-
just need someone that can do it.
I did it at the high school, and Christy did it,
Mhm.
and it is consumed your entire day, your
Yeah,
entire week.
I think we need to just,
You cannot do anything else.
we need to hire someone to do that job and remove it from our school nurse.
I'd like to see if the Ottawa County Health Department could help us out with that too. Is there something that they can,
They dumped it on us.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all dumped on us, yeah. We've been taken. But that wasn't necessarily the Ottawa County Health Department's. That was, Columbus dumped it on us.
Sure.
Not the Ottawa
Okay.
County would have kept that, but they
Okay.
took Ottawa County's ability to do that work away.
Mhm.
So, that's the reality of it.
Okay, we have a motion and seconds. Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
We have page 10, need the board to approve the employments of the support personnel listed there.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
To page 12, need the board to approve the attendance of those professional meetings as listed.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
On page 14, need to approve, number 1 there, we have a student who is out at the Skills Trade Center. We have 2 students out there. One did not have transportation, so we have arranged with Okta to provide transportation once a week out there to the Skilled Trade Center in Oak Harbor. And this is the agreement that just allows us to pay them or what they need for us to pay them to be billed.
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Ragnar.
Yes.
Number two there, Neola, who handles all of our school policies, their, I guess the service they provided was that in years past is that they would go back after meeting with me twice a year, they would go back, the representative would go back and he would enter into the system, all the changes to the policies, enter into our online system. And it never cost us anything, and now they're charging us for $80 each time, twice a year. So
$160.
$160 total.
Why are they charging us now, did they say?
Everything else, everything
Because
costs
they
us,
can.
costs us because they can, because
Because they needed it?
COVID.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second?
Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Ragnar.
Yes.
number three there, the old policies, the ones that were updated and added, the ones that you had access to here.
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Ragnar.
Yes.
Need to approve that one open enrollment.
Is that somebody moved out of district?
No, that is, Mr.
Oh.
Pearson's.
Ah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. I'll be honest. It'd be easier if you buy a house.
Can I get a second? I'm sorry.
Second? Chrissy
Mr.
did,
Cashin,
but I felt bad, so I wanted to.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Ragnar.
Of course.
Number five there, in lieu of transportation for the young man as stated there.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Cashin,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Travers,
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
and Mr. Ragnar.
Yes.
And number six there, I don't know, did we cover it? Number six, you think?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. That's it for me.
No, this one. Okay.
Well, can I say something about Mr. Cashin? I just would like to thank Tom for his years of service on the school board. You have been a calm, steady hand, and you always bring a different perspective that's been very valuable to the district, and I just want to say thank you. You have a consistent focus on civics, on the ACT scores, and the, I think just the overall production of our students, and I just want to say thank you, because you've been valued.
Well, thank you. And, going forward, I know that this school district has got it's been a rough road, and I wish you all the best. And I really think the most of all the people, staff, administration. I really think that you guys can, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and get this levy passed or do whatever it takes to provide the best education for our kids. And me stepping away and being a parent, I promised that I would be involved and agitate and support as much as I can from that, from the bleacher seats, as it were. And but I really think the most of the people in this room, and I wish you all the best going forward.
And I echo Jeff's comments to, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and certainly appreciate the service. Not everybody wants to do what it is you've done. And I also recognize Cheryl for stepping up and jumping into the fray in Tom's seat. So, welcome aboard. You know what you, but I know you, you got what it takes to lend some perspective and wisdom to the conversation that obviously inevitably has to happen. I will say that this is also my last board meeting. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I was, reelected, and I knew that probably sometime in this term I wouldn't be able to finish because of family dynamics and having grandchildren and probably going to be moving out of the district, and that happened a lot quicker than any of us anticipated. I am under contract on a house out of the district and have just as of Sunday afternoon sold my house. And so I will be leaving the district, and I won't be gone until probably the end of March by the time I do what I need to do to the one we're moving to. But out of deference to the board and to Mr. Ferguson, I just think it's important with the organizational meeting coming up on the 10th that they have the opportunity to get somebody in this seat to fulfill the term on an appointment and go through that organizational meeting with that person if the time will allow you guys to find that person and get somebody agreeable to come on board and participate in that meeting. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity to serve. It's been a pleasure. Been 10 years in the district as coach and board member and working in the community. It's a special place, no doubt about it, and it's why my family moved out here. We've enjoyed every bit of it. The kids made friends, and we made friends, and so it's a little difficult. It's always difficult to change, but like I said, it's really a family decision for my family and what we need to do for my family, and it happened quicker than what we would have anticipated for sure. So thank you, thank Mr. Ferguson for the opportunity, thank the board for allowing me to serve alongside them, and to whatever degree I've been able to help, I'm grateful to have done so. And I thank you for that. Good luck going forward. Obviously, we have a task, and I'll be, that's a little bit why I'm a little bittersweet about it, in that I feel like it's unfinished business. I kind of want to see this thing through, but it will allow me to living in Wyoming where I'm going to be. So, having said that, I want to thank you, and I thank you, Bill, particularly for the job you do as well. And I think we're going to move into executive session to consider the employment of personnel in the district. So, we'll make a motion to go into executive.
Before we go to executive, I just want to say thank you, Ron, to you too, as well, and Tom. You guys have brought, different views, but you've brought your own perspective, and you've added those different perspectives that make this work. I know people think sometimes everybody's in lockstep because everybody votes yes on issues, with a few exceptions here and there, but the reality is that you have all the background information. You are making decisions based on that background information, what's best for kids, and you guys have done a good job of that, of providing different voices and holding my feet to the fire and everybody on their toes. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Are you gonna call me after every once in a while, just disagree with me?
Yeah, just because.
Thank you. Never miss you.
All right, I got the motion. Mr. Cashin?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Traver?
Yes.
Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
And Mr. Rightnow?
Yes.
In the executive at 7:41.
When are you coming out? Any decision afterward?
There will be no decision coming out of it.
No actions.